It's Tuesday, June 30th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. Are high food prices and fuel costs driving people across the border? On the eve of Canada Day, how are Canadians feeling about the state of the nation?
Well, we have some peak summer heat and humidity for the Maritimes coming up to close out the week.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. We'll have those stories for you in a moment. But first, just hours ago, we learned 2 people were found dead in a suburban Halifax home yesterday. RCMP were called to a home on Lincolnshire Drive that's in Fall River on Monday afternoon, but did not disclose what they discovered in the residential neighborhood until late today. The initial call was reported as a deceased man, but once there, officers also found a second dead man in the home. They are investigating both as suspicious. They did not disclose the ages of the men or what they believe happened to them. The cause of the deaths remain under investigation at this hour. A trial has been set for 2 youth facing sexual assault charges related to a hazing investigation in the Truro area. The crimes are alleged to have taken place last fall. The youth are facing 2 counts of sexual assault and a single count of sexual assault with a weapon, involving 3 alleged victims. The teens, who were 14 at the time of the alleged offenses, were charged in February. The trial will begin in February next year in Truro Youth Court. Communities, neighborhoods, and families are preparing for Canada Day, and many will host barbecues, of course. All will be more expensive than previous years because of the high cost of meat. CTV's Vanessa Wright follows our report from last evening.
Foot traffic is steady at the Halifax Seaport today. Nearby food hubs hope it will be a much busier sight tomorrow.
It's actually one of the biggest days of the year for us down here at Seaport.
They're just one venue preparing for the holiday. Festivities will kick off bright and early and will feature live music, games, and of course, a classic barbecue.
So we're doing some like gourmet burgers, gourmet hot dogs, some sides like potato salad, local corn, chicken kebabs, that kind of thing. And we have a nice big commercial barbecue we rented, so we're really excited to pump out some local food for folks.
A tasty menu, no doubt, but a pricey one where meat is involved. Numbers from Dalhousie's Food Lab show Atlantic Canada leading the country for the highest chicken and pork prices, with beef not far behind, which means those putting on large events are closely watching every dollar.
We went through a few different suppliers to kind of see kind of what could get at a decent price.
If you're planning to attend a community barbecue, your plate might look smaller this year.
I suspect that people organizing events will perhaps downsize portions a little bit.
And if they're not shrinking portions, he says they'll bump up prices, trying to find a sweet spot with inflated food costs and popular menu items.
Canada Day is a big deal for the meat industry. You want consumers engaged. You want consumers to continue to consume meat.
Garrison Brewing has plans to feed about 1,200 people on Canada Day, with even more expected to enjoy their festivities.
It is weather dependent a bit. It can range anywhere from we get 1,000 to 3,000 people flowing through here. So yeah, it's very, very busy.
And there will be barbecues across the Maritimes tomorrow. Whether large community events or small backyard gatherings, they'll share good times and even bigger food bills. Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Halifax.
Traditionally, neighbors in St. Stephen and Calais celebrate on both sides of the border this time of year. Traffic to the States is edging up again, and we wondered if Canadians might be going to get some relief from those high food and fuel prices. Here's CTV's Nick Moore.
People who live in St. Stephen have traditionally traveled across the border for products that are cheaper. That list might change, but it almost always includes a stop at the gas pump.
To fill up my car in Canada, it's about $70. To fill it up over here, it's about $50.
Almost all of the vehicles here at Hardwick's were from New Brunswick for a good stretch of the early afternoon, where regular was selling today for $1.42 a litre Canadian.
Where I live in St. Stephen, it's actually closer for me to come here than the gas station in town. So, yeah, it's just the price difference.
At other stores in Calais this afternoon, there were Canadian plates, though not as many. A few Canadian customers we spoke to at this Calais grocery store said they were here for meat. Boneless chicken thighs at the Calais IGA costing about $22 Canadian in the U.S. compared to nearly $38 in Canada. Boneless chuck roast going for $32.93 Canadian in the U.S. compared to $42.53 in Canada. Recent numbers from U.S. Customs and Border Protection show a small uptick this spring in the number of vehicles crossing from New Brunswick into Maine. Numbers that will be watched closely with summer tourism now approaching prime time, as well as a gap in certain price points.
I'm glad to hear that they're coming over. There's so many empty things that we need them over here.
Canadians in Calais say they cannot ignore the cost savings.
And I will come over and get gas because it is just so much cheaper over here and it's worth the hassle to me.
Nick Moore, CTV News, Calais, Maine.
In the web poll, we're asking, are you feeling more proud to be Canadian these days? And your options are, yes, I'm feeling prouder than ever. I'm feeling about as proud as I always am. Or no, I'm feeling less proud these days. You can vote on the poll right now at ctvnewsatlantic.ca. And a little later in the show, we'll see how Canadians feel about the country on his 159th birthday. Pollster Nick Nanos will join us. Some of Saint John's history has been stripped away. Plaques have been stolen from statues and monuments in King Square. And CTV's Avery McRae reports it's part of a growing problem in the Uptown.
At the foot of King Square stands a cenotaph, which proudly lists the wars Canadian troops have fought in. Or at least it did.
These plaques are really important to all of us.
Plaques from the War Memorial, as well as a number of others from nearby monuments, have gone missing in recent days. In an email to CTV, the city of Saint John says they are aware of the growing trend, which includes plaques being taken along the Harbour Passage, and are working with police. Councillor Eric Savoy is disappointed with the thefts as they are a part of telling the city's history.
St. Johners are proud of our city, and so are our city workers. And so, you know, you hate to see these things happen and learn of these things.
He is appealing to whoever took them to bring them back. The vandalism concerns Uptown aren't exclusive to plaques. St. John police are asking for the public's help with its investigation of multiple graffiti incidents around Uptown, something resident Denise Gallant knows firsthand.
My home now has been vandalized twice. I live in an old brick historic home, so it's not as easy as all that to take the graffiti away. So it's really heartbreaking.
Gallant questions why people are vandalizing the Uptown and admits it's become frustrating. Alan Cobbett says controlling the problem is a challenge.
You can have as many cameras as you want, okay, right? But it's, unfortunately, I think it's just the price of doing business. Okay, if you're going to have an open park walkway for people to walk and enjoy, you're going to have, unfortunately, some things happen.
The city says the plaques will be replaced in due time. Ava McRae, CTV News, St. John.
One person is in hospital following an accident on Highway 1 in Saint John this morning that resulted in a fuel spill. The incident between a dump truck and an SUV happened this morning on the city's west side coming into Saint John. An unspecified amount of fuel leaked. The cause is being investigated. One person was taken to hospital with injuries but is in stable condition, we're told. The eastbound lane remains closed at this hour as crews continue to clean diesel from the vehicle. There is no word on when the highway will reopen. Imagine seeing road crews repairing those pesky potholes in the dead of winter. It's something that can happen in Nova Scotia now that the province bought new equipment to improve the worst roads at any time of year. Here's Ryan McDonald.
Even at the start of summer, potholes can be a pain. At this highway off-ramp, they have been difficult to avoid for months now.
Countless days, you hit a new pothole and you think, uh-oh, I hope that, didn't do any damage.
Cyril McDonald hits the highways each weekend to take his family to their cottage in Shetty Camp, and he knows plenty of others whose vehicles have needed repairs.
You know, I've had friends and family come home and say I hit a pothole on the highway, bent my rim.
That we'll be able to tackle our pothole maintenance in a much more efficient way.
Today, Nova Scotia's Public Works Department announced that it's spending more than $8 million on new equipment it says will improve repairs on provincial roads and highways. The more than 80 new pieces province-wide include front-end loaders with brush cutters to reach under guardrails and across shoulders, and what they call a new way of handling asphalt through insulated hot boxes so that it doesn't cool as much on the way to a job site.
The hot mix that'll be in this this machine over here will be able to go into the ground and be compacted and settle into that hole so that it lasts much longer.
There's probably never enough, but I think this is certainly a good start.
The province says each area will have a dedicated crew assigned to use the new pothole repair and cutting equipment. As for when drivers might start noticing a difference,
so this summer we'll do a lot of training. We'll be using the equipment, no doubt. I think we'll see the biggest improvement in our next pothole season next year.
Tilly adds that even in winter, keeping asphalt mix temperatures higher for longer should make for better road repairs. Ryan McDonald, CTV News, Sydney.
There's how things look right now in Lunenburg. A beautiful evening, 25 degrees, and there will be a big Canada Day celebration there tomorrow, and a lot of it takes place right there on the Lunenburg waterfront. Let's get our first look at the forecast with CTV meteorologist Caleb Mitchell and everybody hanging off every word you have to say about tomorrow.
So I'm expecting pretty decent conditions around the Lunenburg area. The only thing is the southwest wind tomorrow picks up a little bit, so that is a little bit more directly onshore for Lunenburg and coastal areas of Atlantic Canada. So I would expect those temperatures to come down a little bit for Lunenburg. You might see a little bit more cloud cover hanging around the coast as well. There's a couple things I want to talk about here as we get to the forecast. One of those being dew point temperatures. So dew point temperatures are a measure of moisture in the air. This time of the year, so the summer season, anything around the low teens or lower is typically pretty comfortable for us. As soon as those dew point temperatures start getting up towards the mid to high teens, that's when we notice some mugginess and high teens, low 20s. That's when, combined with hot weather, conditions can become stifling for us here in the Maritime region. And we do have those type of dew point temperatures in the forecast for Thursday and Friday of this week. That also looks like it's going to be the peak of some real summertime hot weather as well. So hot, humid conditions coming up. You can see those dew points in the Fredericton area coming up towards the 20 mark on Thursday and Friday, and they're expected to be there for Halifax and Nova Scotia and Charlottetown and Prince Edward Island as well. So some heat, humidity coming up to finish out this week. Hopefully conditions moderate a little bit in the weekend, because I know that can be tough for people to be comfortable in. Taking a look at temperatures right now, I mean, we're already starting to feel a little bit of mugginess in the air. It's very warm out there this evening across a good portion of the Maritimes. More moderate for a few parts of the east of the region, Prince Edward Island, Cape Breton, a few parts of the coastline. But aside from those areas, some temperatures right now mid to high 20s. Even St. Stephen still holding on to 30 degrees, and lots of locations feeling into the high 20s and low 30s with that humidex, which again is part of those dew point temperatures, which are starting to rise. Taking a look at winds right now around the region, they're mostly light. They're being sustained between around 5 and 15 kilometers per hour. Not much going on as far as wind gusts go. Over on radar and satellite, partly cloudy conditions, still seeing some showers popping up in northern and central areas of New Brunswick. And every once in a while, a couple of these showers are turning into a small thunderstorm. Those should be coming to an end later this evening as we lose our daytime heating. They're basically being driven by the very warm, somewhat muggy air and a little bit of cooler air sitting above us in the Maritimes. In the forecast for tomorrow, for Canada Day, generally a mix of sun and cloud, but once again, I am expecting that generally in the region, there'll be a few pop-up showers and thunderstorms, mostly afternoon into evening, widely scattered in their coverage, so not everybody will see one of those, but there will be a few around. And that just comes with that type of heat and humidity that is beginning to build into the Maritimes. So we'll take a closer look at that, and we'll get into the details of the extended forecast when I'm back a little bit later on.
Okay, very good. We'll see you in about 15 minutes for that. One of Canada's largest seafood companies has struck a deal to grow its salmon business here in our region. Saint John-based Cook Incorporated says it's agreed to acquire salmon farming operations of Maui, Canada East. Cook says it's buying operations in New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador. The company says the agreement includes freshwater hatcheries, sea farming sites, and 2 processing plants. New Brunswick is changing virtual care providers today. The province's health minister is optimistic about a seamless transition, but concerns do remain. CTV's Anna Mandan reports.
Luxembourg-based Foundever is now providing virtual care for New Brunswickers, months after the New Brunswick government announced a shift away from New Brunswick-based eVisit NB. Residents can access appointments through Virtual Care NB's online symptom checker or by calling 811. According to the health minister, it's so far so good.
Appointments are being given, are being filled, both today and in days in the future where that's appropriate, where patients want that.
But the shift has faced hurdles, from a 90-day delay to a letter from eVisit NB nurse practitioners raising concerns about the transition. Progressive Conservative MLA Bill Hogan, who represents the riding where eVisit NB is based, has also been vocal about his objections to the new provider.
Sounds to me more like a call center. You call, leave a message, and we'll call you back.
Dornan says 44 New Brunswick accredited nurse practitioners are now working with Foundever. And though he doesn't know how many were employed through eVisit NB, he's confident the transition is the right choice. Foundever also runs the province's Telecare 811 program.
We're putting it all together so that we get the right care at the right time for the right person at the right place.
For Fredericton resident Emily Colpitz, the virtual service provided through eVisit NB has been a big help as she manages Crohn's disease.
I know I had a great experience with the Maple, and with the programs we had before, and I think if they're anything like that, I think it will be really good.
Meanwhile, St. Stephen resident Dana Bouderoy is diabetic and has also relied on the service, but she's a bit more skeptical about the transition.
It's questionable as to how it would work, is my question. If it would be seamless.
eVisit NB's support team will work until the end of July to resolve any outstanding labs completed by June 23rd or any referrals done by Tuesday. Anna Mandan, CTV News, Fredericton.
The world's fastest paddlers are about to hit the water in the Halifax area, and while the competition promises Olympic caliber racing, organizations say it could leave a lasting legacy for Nova Scotia. Our Hafsa Arif is on the water.
The course is set and so is the lakeside. A stage now anchors the finish area and athletes are putting in their final training runs.
Super excited to race. I've been paddling on this lake for almost my entire life since I was a kid, and to finally be able to race an international competition here is almost a dream come true. It's absolutely amazing.
More than 800 athletes have arrived in Dartmouth, with organizers expecting up to 17,000 spectators over the next 5 days. A big crowd means big logistics.
You have Prince Albert Road shut down from Hawthorne Street up to Sinclair Street, starting today, June 30th, from 11 a.m. until midnight on July 5th.
Behind the scenes, roughly $500,000 in federal spending is helping cover both operations and permanent upgrades.
It's docks, it's improved internet, it's improved sound system, it's all of the different things that are going to stay here after this event leaves. And the other 250 will be legacy money.
And on the topic of legacy, organizers hope this is just the beginning for the site, with plans to build on this year's upgrades and expand long-term infrastructure around the lake.
We'd love to be partnering with HRM to install permanent washroom facilities, which will enhance the capacity not only for competitors but the general public.
On the water, athletes are also preparing for conditions. They're expecting heat will play a big factor.
Just making sure that I'm drinking enough water, drinking enough electrolytes too, and staying in the shade as much as possible.
But the setting is just part of the moment.
I feel I'm very prepared for this year. We've been training in California all through the winter and here on Lake Banook through the fall and spring.
This is literally a dream come true. I'm in Canada on Canada Day, racing for Canada. This is literally the biggest and coolest experience of my life.
The competition starts tomorrow and runs through Sunday. Organizers say this is a rare chance for people to see some of the fastest young paddlers competing right here in Nova Scotia. Todd?
And we're glad to have them. Hafsa Arif at Lake Banook in Dartmouth for us. Thank you. Time for our first break tonight. Still ahead, meteorologist Kaylin Mitchell will tell us what that Canada Day will look like. And next, another sport. We'll talk about the benefits of the World Cup on the opposite coast. Stay with us.
This is your Campfire Conditions Report, brought to you by Pine Acres RV, where customers become friends. And for most of New Brunswick, campfires are allowed right now between the hours of 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. Now, there are a few exceptions. Westmoreland County, Saint John County, Charlotte County, Victoria County, and Madawaska County, you are permitted to have a campfire at any time. For the province of Nova Scotia, most of the province can have a campfire between 7 p.m. and 8 a.m. The exceptions are Cumberland, Colchester, Guysborough County, Richmond, Cape Breton, and Victoria counties, where you're allowed to have a campfire between 2 p.m. and 8 a.m. And for Prince Edward Island, campfires are currently allowed with domestic brush burning between 2 p.m. and 8 a.m. Please check in on municipal restrictions and bylaws as well.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Have you had enough soccer? Well, we're only about halfway through the World Cup, and already some politicians are declaring victory for Vancouver, despite the heavy price tag. CTV's Isabella Zaffarisi reports.
19 days into the FIFA World Cup, and those working behind the scenes say so far it's been a success.
From the start, we have said that hosting the FIFA World Cup 26 is more than just about the matches.
From packed stands at BC Place with more than 52,000 fans per game.
Over the last 5 matches, World Cup fans have consumed over 17,000 hot dogs and over 15,000 orders of chicken strips at BC Place.
To more than 300,000 people attending the Fan Fest at the PNE.
Just yesterday, we had to close the gates. We were at capacity for the Canada game. We got through the whole day at capacity without a single safety incident.
Hosting 7 World Cup games here carries a price tag of $729 million. Halfway through, the province says it's worth it and will generate more than $1 billion in GDP.
This is an investment to our province, not just for the 7 games that we're hosting here at BC Place.
One economist says the true cost won't be known until the tournament wraps up.
And especially as the game gets closer, one thing that we see in every host city is that people start focusing less and less on the technical aspects, and they start focusing more and more on the game aspect.
And with only 2 games left at BC Place, officials say Vancouver's spot on the world stage is already secured. Isabella Zaffarisi, CTV News, Vancouver.
He's certainly done a nice job. Still to come tonight, we'll hear from Pollster Nick Nanos on how Canadians are feeling on this Canada Day. We'll have health and medical news in the Lifeline. But first, is there sunshine for the big day? Kayla Mitchell. I thought that was snow. Holy cow, it frightened me. Kayla will be here after the break. It's incredible. This is Darryl Reeves, our colleague in Cape Breton, and everything he sends us is just gold this time of year because you can't point the camera in Cape Breton and get a bad image, it would seem. No. This is this afternoon at the Sydney Rangefront Lighthouse. I hope I said that correctly. And this is Point Edward and the ferry in the background. It's just gorgeous.
Boy, were conditions a lot different, though, first thing this morning for
right?
parts of Cape Breton. Yeah, there was a big thunderstorm that rolled through. I've actually got a picture from a viewer of that thunderstorm that I'm going to be showing at the end of the show. So they had some very dynamic weather in and around the Cape Breton area for today.
Then I would say they certainly deserve those conditions.
Yeah, they did, exactly. And weather conditions in the Maritimes are going to remain a little bit unsettled, with that chance that here and there in the region we could see a pop-up shower or thunderstorm, because we have some warm and what's turning to be hot and humid weather building in, and it creates that little bit of instability because it's those type of conditions that end up being fuel for some thunderstorms. Taking a look at weather conditions quickly across the country. Now, things have cooled off a little bit in through BC, and areas of Alberta looking at some pretty moderate temperatures by their standards as they finish off the week. There is still some hot weather in northern areas of Alberta. Fort McMurray right now sitting at 27 degrees, but that's supposed to moderate a little bit. They're unsettled too with some showers and some thunderstorms. Saskatoon sitting at 19 right now, 18 at Regina. Winnipeg right now sitting at 26 degrees. Parts of Manitoba, though, are contending with some very heavy rain from a slow-moving low-pressure system. It's hot through southern Ontario. There's heat warnings in effect. Windsor sitting at 34 right now. Toronto at 33. Ottawa at 24. We are feeling some heat here in the Maritimes. Certainly Fredericton at 29 degrees right now, 25 at Halifax and 23 at Charlottetown. And St. John's right now in Newfoundland sitting at 17 degrees and some cloudier conditions being reported. Taking a look at our timeline for cloud cover and precipitation. The other thing that's happening right now in northern and central areas of New Brunswick is we are still seeing some showers bubble up at this hour, and there's still a risk that a few of those could turn into some thunderstorms. Now, most of that will come to an end as we move later into this evening. And overnight, there's a low chance of a shower or thunderstorm around Prince Edward Island, northern eastern areas of Nova Scotia. There's also going to be fog patches around the Maritimes. In the forecast for Wednesday, partly cloudy with some fog around first thing in the morning, a low chance of a shower on Prince Edward Island and the east of Nova Scotia, and then moving from the morning into the afternoon, the fog's going to be dissipating. It'll be a mix of sun and cloud. There's going to be a southwest wind, a little bit steadier, a little bit gustier than it was today, and there will be afternoon into evening, once again, a chance of a couple pop-up showers or thunderstorms in the Maritimes, but they'll be very widely scattered. So once again, for any given community, it's kind of like a 30% chance or so. Taking a look at the risk of thunderstorms for tomorrow, it is going to be highest in New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and northern eastern areas of Nova Scotia. Winds in the forecast, as I mentioned, will be out of the southwest on Wednesday. They'll be sustained in a lot of cases between 10 and 30 kilometers per hour, with some of the wind gusts getting into the range of 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. Now, the higher wind gusts are most likely around exposed areas of the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia. Because the southwest winds are onshore there and the Bay of Fundy coastline in New Brunswick, there's going to be more of a marine influence for those areas. Temperatures directly on the coast held a little bit cooler, and you may see some low marine cloud or even a few fog banks that's kind of lingering right around the coastal areas throughout the day on Wednesday. Low temperatures in the forecast for tonight around the Maritimes will be mostly around the low to mid-teens. Highs in the forecast for tomorrow, hot in the north of New Brunswick, 26 to 29 degrees. There's going to be some humidity in the air, so humidex values will be making it feel into the low 30s. 26 for Fredericton for tomorrow. There's that southwest winds influence around the Bay of Fundy coastline, so 19 for Grand Manan and Saint John, 25 degrees for Moncton, the southeast. Prince Edward Island tomorrow with most high temperatures between around 22 and 25 degrees, 20 to 22 on parts of the coast. In the east of Nova Scotia, 20 to 23 degrees for Cape Breton for tomorrow. For the North Shore, high temperatures mostly around the mid-20s. And on the eastern shore, coastal areas with high temperatures between around 19 and 23. 23 for Amherst, 25 for Truro, 20 degrees for the city centers Halifax and Dartmouth. The Annapolis Valley, high temperatures near 24 for tomorrow, and around the south shore of Nova Scotia, most of the high temperatures 20 to 23, though 18 at Yarmouth. Now looking ahead in the forecast, temperatures, humidity climbs through Thursday and Friday. New Brunswick, isolated shower, risk of a thunderstorm on Thursday. Friday, mostly just very hot and humid. Saturday, temperatures may cool just a couple of degrees, but generally speaking, pretty hot through the weekend. There's a chance of showers on Sunday, and it looks like there'll be some lingering summer heat for Monday and Tuesday of next week. For Nova Scotia in the forecast as well, heat and humidity will be both climbing Thursday and Friday, and still hot, muggy on Saturday. Humidity levels may come down a little bit over the weekend, and looking plenty warm on Monday and Tuesday of next week. And for Prince Edward Island, yeah, hotter weather continues to build in through the end of this week. Around for the start of the weekend, things may cool off with some showers on Sunday, and then looking very warm on Monday and Tuesday of next week. Todd.
Thank you. Next, CTV pollster Nick Nanos joins us with a look at how we see ourselves as Canada Day approaches. We'll be right back.
Mornings with Aaron and Peter. Join us all this week for the $1,000 Minute with Atlantic Superstore.
Celebrating 40 years and giving you $200 just for playing this week.
Welcome back. We've seen a lot of the red and white in recent days with the men's soccer team, the big win, and of course Canada Day tomorrow. But how are people feeling about the state of the nation? CTV pollster Nick Nanos of Nanos Research joins us from the nation's capital. Good to see you, Nick.
Good to see you too.
Boy, there's nothing like a big win to make people feel good, huh?
Oh, you know what? The thing is I would just say when Canada wins, doesn't matter what sport it is, it's like everybody's like an inch or two taller, right? So great news for the Canadian men's team to make it to the next round, and everybody's going to be waiting for the game this weekend.
Yeah, how does that spill over into you know, a national feeling. It's pretty trivial on the surface. It's it's a sport win, but there really is something to it.
Do you know what? There's what I call the Olympics effect. Like during the Olympics, when Canadian athletes start winning medals, people just start feeling better about the country and about things in general. So it'll be interesting to see whether there's any kind of lift in terms of how Canadians feel coming out of the World Cup and the good showing that the men's team has had so far.
Okay, well, let me offer a gloomy side. Let's talk about Kuzma. The trade negotiation deadline is tomorrow. The government's telling us, or has been urging us, look, don't put too much weight on the date. It doesn't really mean a whole lot. You have a new survey on how Canadians are feeling about free trade with the U.S. What'd you find?
Well, when we look at the relationship with the U.S., Canadians are actually feeling quite negative. When it comes to the idea of free trade and the importance of free trade to our economy, they're quite positive. So think of it this way. It's kind of like the head and the heart, right? In terms of the relationship and how we're feeling about what's going on and what's said in the United States, especially as it relates to Canada, not great. But then at the same time, Canadians overwhelmingly understand that free trade with the United States especially is critically important to prosperity and jobs. So you got those two things duking it out right now.
Yeah, we've seen travel edge up ever so slightly to the U.S. Can you extrapolate anything from that in terms of how Canadians might be feeling overall?
Well, part of it might be the World Cup, believe it or not, because the World Cup is a big tourist boost for the United States as one of the host countries. But, I think the fact of the matter is that for some Canadians, how long can they boycott the United States? And, the thing is that over time, Canadians have relatives in the United States. They have jobs that might require them to go to the United States. And what we might be seeing is a little bit of loosening. But you know what? There hasn't really been a lot in the news related to Donald Trump and what he's been saying about Canada lately. That's all it would take is for something to flare up and for Canadians to kind of vote with their feet again and potentially avoid going to the United States, especially for discretionary travel like going on vacation.
Right. You do survey work for our sister network, B&M Bloomberg. You were looking at the economy. What's our thinking towards that? As you look down the road a bit, it doesn't look like there's a lot of a bump for the economy.
Well, I think saying that there's not a lot of bump, I guess that's very, very optimistic. There's no bump. It's completely flat. When we look at the consumer confidence that we do for Bloomberg News, it is been sputtering in neutral. And I think for a lot of Canadians, they're holding their breath. They're waiting to see what's going to happen on the free trade agreement. They're worried about their jobs, and they're wondering about where the economy will be in 6 months. The other thing we have to remember, we've got like a Quebec election, we've got an Alberta referendum, and we've got, why don't we call it the trifecta of uncertainty? We'll add the USMCA discussions. And I think you roll all those things up, and Canadians are not feeling optimistic about the future strength of the Canadian economy.
Right, I want to ask you about that. Obviously the federal politicians will be fanning out on the barbecue circuit. Would you expect them to be spending a disproportionate amount of time in, say, Alberta and Quebec this summer?
Well, I think Alberta for sure, because the thing is that the Alberta referendum will include a question related to the future of Alberta and whether there would be a real referendum after that. And I think for a lot of Canadians, they're going to want to know where especially the two top party leaders, Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre, stand on that and what it might mean for the Federation. But you know what? How do you, if you're the Prime Minister of Canada, how do you attract investment if people show up and go, hey, what's up with this Alberta vote and referendum that's going to happen on the future of the province and whether they want to kind of continue discussions about being not part of Canada? So not a great narrative for a prime minister that's trying to attract investment because he's got to answer questions about what's going on in Alberta.
Nick, there was that famous quote in the U.S. that it's the economy, stupid, and that the politician in power always wears whatever the economy is like. Economy, as you mentioned, not great in Canada, doesn't seem to be hurting the Liberals or Mr. Carney in particular.
No, and maybe this is because of Donald Trump. I think Canadians see Donald Trump as the initiator of the uncertainty in the Canada-U.S. relationship, the uncertainty related to the trade negotiations. So they're pinning, I would imagine for many Canadians, they're pinning the anxiety and the uncertainty and the worry and the pessimism on Donald Trump. That said, you're asking about the ballot numbers. Right now, the Liberals are about 13 percentage points ahead of the Conservatives, so still a double-digit lead. It's almost like an extended honeymoon for the Liberals when it comes to ballot support.
And Mr. Carney and Mr. Poilievre in terms of favored prime minister?
Well, not great news for Pierre Poilievre. Mark Carney's, think of the ballot advantage for the Liberals, 13 points. Mark Carney's advantage over Pierre Poilievre, 26 percentage points. And for Poilievre, he's got to be thinking about how he jumpstarts his time as leader of the Conservative and at how he can try to become more competitive with Mark Carney. And, maybe this Alberta referendum is the time for Pierre Poilievre to chart his own path and to kind of stake out some new territory. I don't think it's going to be difficult for him to compete with Carney on Canada-US, but I think he can hypothetically compete with Mark Carney on Canada, the Federation, about Alberta's role within the Federation and how he wants the country to stay united. I think that's an opportunity for Pierre Poilievre, and he can, if he chooses, be competitive on that front.
Okay, gives us something to keep an eye on this summer. Nick Nanos, thank you very much. Happy Canada Day.
You too.
We'll talk to you again soon. We'll be right back with more of your newscast after this. In health headlines, a generic version of Wegovy has been approved by Health Canada. CTV's Suzette Beliveau has the details in Lifeline tonight.
Health Canada has approved the first generic version of Wegovy. This is a semaglutide injection made by Canada's Apotex. Health Canada's approval is specifically for chronic weight management in people aged 12 and up. There could be more approvals coming down the pipeline. Health Canada says it's reviewing 6 more submissions for generic semaglutide products. Decisions are expected in the coming weeks and months. Health Canada has issued a recall on some thermos products due to serious injury risk. The recall includes stainless King Food jars with the model numbers SK3000 and SK3020. Also recalled is the Thermos Sportsman food and beverage bottle with model number SK3010. Health Canada says the stopper on those products could forcefully open if something has been inside for a long time. Anyone who has one of these recalled products are being told to stop using them immediately. They were sold between 2009 and 2021. Fiber is found in foods like oats, beans, and seeds, and experts say it may do more than just keep you regular. It could play a role in lowering your risk of cancer. Fiber is part of plant foods that your body can't fully digest. It helps keep your gut healthy by moving waste through your body faster. According to Moffitt Cancer Center, fiber feeds good gut bacteria, supports digestion, and may help prevent diseases like colorectal, stomach, and breast cancer. Most adults should aim for at least 25 grams of fiber a day, but many people don't get enough. Just adding fiber to your diet doesn't have to be complicated. Start simple. Try oatmeal for breakfast. Add beans or lentils to soups or salads. Grab a handful of almonds for a quick snack. Swap out white bread or pasta for whole grain versions to boost your fiber without really changing your routine. Even sprinkling chia or flax seeds into yogurt or a smoothie can boost your fiber intake. Because a little more fiber today can go a long way for your health. With health and medical news, I'm Suzette Beliveau for the Lifeline.
Time for the scene. Tomorrow marks a new month, and July will see a slew of big blockbuster movies coming to cinemas. With a look at what's ahead on the big screen, here's CNN's Rick Damigella.
James, you have a real gift for filmmaking.
But what the Minions really want to do is direct. Gru's little yellow sidekicks are back on the big screen in Minions and Monsters on July 1st. Disney gives Moana the live-action treatment, including Dwayne Johnson reprising his role as Maui.
Maui, shapeshifter demigod of the wind and sea.
Surf's Up July 10th.
No one could stand between me and home.
Christopher Nolan's follow-up to Oppenheimer will soon arrive in cinemas. The Odyssey sets sail July 17th. And for more ancient Greek storytelling, Hadestown the Musical heads to theaters. The Tony Award-winning production will screen for 5 nights starting July 24th.
I am totally out of control.
And your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man returns to theaters in Spider-Man Brand New Day. Action is his reward starting July 31st. Getting refills of popcorn in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damagella.
Taking a look at our business report, of course, the TSX will be closed tomorrow for the holiday, but today the Dow ended the day up 136 points, and the Canadian economy rebounded out of that technical recession. BNN Bloomberg's Christine Lee has the latest data from Stats Canada.
Canada reporting an economic turnaround with real gross domestic product rising 0.5% in April. This beat economist expectations, effectively pulling Canada out of a brief technical recession. Growth was widespread across sectors, driven by a surge in oil and gas extraction, alongside long-awaited rebounds in manufacturing, construction, and Toronto real estate activity. Statistics Canada forecasts an increase of 0.1% in GDP growth in May. Trade tensions are mounting as the United States is poised to formally miss tomorrow's July 1st deadline to agree on an automatic extension of the Canada-United States-Mexico Agreement, or CUSMA. While the Continental Trade Pact remains firmly in place, blowing past this target triggers a mandatory, more rigorous review process. Foreign institutional investors are snapping up Canadian federal debt in record amounts, purchasing nearly $28 billion in April, according to the most recent data for Government of Canada bonds. This strong appetite for Canada's rare AAA-rated sovereign bonds is a welcome development for the federal government, effectively easing borrowing costs for Prime Minister Mark Carney's ambitious infrastructure and nation-building initiatives. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 70.48. West Texas Intermediate is down $1.25 to 69.50. Western Canadian Select is up $2 to 56.57. And the TSX is up 33 points today. Those are your business news headlines. I'm Christine Lee.
Kayla Mitchell has one more look at the forecast. The jacket is off. That's a good sign. And we talked earlier about what the weather was like earlier in the day in Cape Breton and last night, and you've got that photo.
That's right. So let's take a look at that viewer picture. With heat and humidity does come some thunderstorms, and this was a big thunderstorm that rolled its way across parts of Cape Breton this morning. This is the view around Sydney, Nova Scotia. This picture was taken by Donna Matheson. I want to thank Donna very much for taking the time to send that picture in. Sydney for tomorrow, a mix of sun and cloud, similar temperatures. Lower chance of a shower or thunderstorm, but a chance nonetheless. Day planner for tomorrow, Canada Day morning around the Maritimes, partly cloudy with fog patches. The afternoon, a mix of sun and cloud, very warm, humid with the exception of a few coastal areas. And there will be a couple of showers and thunderstorms that pop up afternoon into evening, but they're going to be very isolated in their coverage in the Maritimes. Let's find out what's ahead on your Morning Atlantic.
Thursday on your Morning Atlantic, In the Groove.
We'll chat with artist Lovett about her upcoming performance at the Halifax Jazz Festival.
Start your morning with us Thursday on your Morning Atlantic on CTV2 and Crave.
Finally for us tonight, pictures from space as 2 NASA astronauts performed a spacewalk outside of the International Space Station. Today, the astronauts replaced a joint on Canadarm2. That's the robotic arm. The spacewalk is the 280th all time and was expected to last almost 7 hours. The 3,000-pound Canadarm2 arrived at the ISS back in 2001 and has been in continuous use over the past 25 years. Today's spacewalk was the second for the 2 astronauts. Before we go, I'd like to send some best wishes to a loyal viewer, Nancy Murphy in Brunel, PEI. I know she's watching as she does every night. She's marking a special birthday, so we want to say Enjoy, Nancy, and congratulations. That'll do it for us tonight. CTV News Atlantic.ca has our updates over the Canada Day break. We'll be back with you Thursday at 6. I'm Todd Battis. Good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast. Watch live on Crave.